Last week I had a meeting scheduled late in the afternoon for deep in the heart of the Allegheny Forest. Despite the fact I was pretty sure I could get there, I was coming from the north instead of the south, and so I thought, well, maybe I better hit the GPS. And so I punched it up in my Jeep, and off we went. I was kind of surprised we hadn't gone very far when she turned me onto a road that I had never even noticed before. I almost ignored her, but heck, I had a couple hours to kill before the meeting. What could have hurt if I got lost a little? And so off we went, and it was an incredible drive through old-growth forest of cherry and pine, oak, maple, up and down the mountains, across streams, deer, bear, eagles, turkeys. Those I was a little wary of. And sure enough, it brought me out onto a very familiar road, almost to my destination. In fact, all I had to do was turn right, and there was Cougar Bob's, and the campground was next. I was there in more than enough time. Had a wonderful meeting with the folks at Pennsylvania Wilds talking about art and business in this part of the territory, and then it was time to go home. Both directions home would take me quite a ways out of my way, and so I decided, what the heck. I punched home into the GPS and off I went. And sure enough, it wasn't long before it took me off my normal path onto something new and exciting. And then the GPS cut out. And there was a moment of panic. I was on an unfamiliar road in somewhat unfamiliar territory. Should I turn back and take the familiar road? And then I took assessment. I mean, these were the roads, this was the territory, kind of territory that I cut my teeth driving as a kid. I could do this. I could find my way. I had the ability. And besides, this was territory that I knew. Even if it wasn't this road, I knew this area, and eventually I probably could find something familiar. And besides that, I had all the stories of this area that had been told to me over the years. Places, landmarks. I'd be okay. And I certainly was. Before long, I found German Hill Road. We had a church on German Hill, and sure enough, down the road I went and found the church. Well, now I knew where I was going, but still, it was a little out of the way. Maybe there was a shorter way, so I kept looking, and I came to a crossroads, and there were signs piled up on the bank saying road closed, bridge out. Obviously, they weren't in effect. And then I looked up, and there was the sign, Nebraska. The Nebraska Bridge. For 43 years, I had never been on that road when the bridge was open. It was always underwater due to controlled flooding from the dam. But obviously it was open, and so off I went. Again, an incredible drive through the forest, across the bridge, quite a sight. And I remembered that from the Nebraska Bridge, it wasn't too far to Newmansville. And once there, I knew exactly where I was. And sure enough, I was, and got home in plain time for supper. There are many times in our lives that we find ourselves without GPS, not just driving, but in life. I'm discovering retirement's one of those. Despite all the planning, all the reading I did, it's uncharted territory. And there aren't any real guides to get you through it exactly how you need to do it. And there are moments where I panicked. I still panic, but I realize I've got the abilities. I've got gifts and talents. I'll be okay. And this is familiar territory. I can navigate my way through, even if I get lost from time to time. And I've been blessed with all the stories along the way to help me, and friends that will accompany me. I'll be okay. I get a little more crazy when I think about the world these days, because it too is running without a GPS. Most of us are going crazy trying to figure out what tomorrow will bring. It's an anxious time. It's a confusing time. It's chaotic. But we can do it because we are blessed with abilities. We are blessed with the ability to think and to act, to discern. This isn't unfamiliar territory. We know this world and where we live. And besides, we've heard the stories of times like these. And there have been many times like these over the years. We'll be okay. When I find myself in those times where the GPS seems to be failing, one of the places I go is to my GPS, and that is Scripture. And there, what the writers reveal is a compass that God gives to us. In the Old Testament, they are the attributes of God. In the New Testament, Jesus embodies them and invites us to live into them. And they are threefold: mercy, justice, and love. The 3 points on God's compass. Mercy is about forgiveness. First and foremost, the recognition that we are forgiven. And when we come to that understanding of God's grace, despite all the stupid things we have done and continue to do in our lives, then we are able to forgive others in the midst of their failures and faults. Justice is the tricky one, because biblical justice is very different than our modern concept of justice, where we believe justice is everybody gets what they deserve. Biblical justice is everybody gets what they need. And our role in that is to assist God in making that happen. That all have what they need to survive and thrive. And finally, the third point on God's compass is love. A love of God and a love of neighbor, which embodies all of the others. And what we discover as we practice these 3 points is that there is a 4th point on God's compass, and that is shalom, wholeness. It is that peace, integrity, and wholeness that is the gift of following the other 3 points. And it will be that will guide us into the future. And so we don't have to worry because we do have GPS, God's positioning. We'll make it. If not on our own, because God is walking with us. Thanks be to God.